We are still very far from the target of achieving universal suffrage. Under the NPCSD decision or framework, there won't be real universal suffrage, but at least the administration should respond to the cause of the Hong Kong people by expanding the FC electorate and increasing the element of democracy. For example, for the fisheries, commerce and industries and so on, the corporate votes can be converted into directors' votes and individual votes should be introduced. But the government has not anything. They have only made very minor technical amendments, and this is highly disappointing. We have been calling for the abolishment of FCs. But since the FCs are still here, at least we must expand the electorates. So for Mr. Kent Leung, Mr. Charles Mock, they have called for an expansion in the electorates. Unfortunately, the President has deemed these motions inadmissible under Rule 54 of the Rules of Procedure. This is highly regretful. I would like to take this chance to voice the views of some electors, and these are some technical issues. There were outstanding issues. In the legislation, there was one ambiguous statement. Full-time staff who engage in education activities or related administrative staff was very ambiguous in meaning. The PTU often received complaints from different schools, and different teaching institutions have different interpretations on this phrase. Some institutions define these full-time teaching or research staff as lecturers, but some institutions don't include them. So that leads to unbalanced rights to vote. In a lot of institutions, they have professors, associate professors. Now, what about teaching assistants or lecturers? Mr. Paul Chair asked whether there's any prejudice in our system. So this is what we are dealing with the higher institutions. Where do we draw the line? Now, my request is very simple. We should use the same standards for all teaching institutions in order to align with the descriptions of the bill. So at a Bills Committee meeting, I requested a list to spell out the relevant staff grades at the education institutions, and with the list, it's easier to make comparisons.